Three different shows, three different shows, three different shows. Aliens are real, this was the need. Aliens are real, Bigfoot is real. Don't question me, Tim is a goat. Danny is not, Dave is the mouth. Those are the roots, I'm on TV. Three different shows, three different shows, three different shows, three different shows. And all what you say will get better.
Welcome to Three Tortured Souls. Welcome.
Hello.
For tonight, we're going to have some fun with EVP.
Oh, shit.
Mainly because I had a long week, so I just want to have something fun to do at the end of the weekend and not have something really serious to try to think about. So, easy enough.
Easy enough. That's good. I like that.
Shows were serious and hard to think about? Okay.
What?
Our other shows were serious and hard to think about?
Well, relative to us, yeah, sure.
Relative to this one, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the other option was the pseudo-skepticism, which would have taken a bit. You know, I really didn't want to think about it. So I had fun looking at the EVP and laughing at them. Tried to go with my choices being the criteria. We're looking for the world's greatest ever EVPs and EVPs that solved historical murders and EVPs that proved the afterlife. So I think I got some from those channels that we're going to listen to, and I hope that us and anybody that's listening can put in the chat room. Hey, JD, Bob, and Kathy. Then you guys take a shot at what you hear. So I kind of devised something just on the fly to think about to see if I can manipulate maybe or see what you hear or if you can pick the real EVP. But when we get there, I'll
pick the real one.
The real one.
The realest out of them.
See what I mean? This is just, I should say the original EVP.
There you go.
There you go. So that's what I got planned, and just to be real light, have some fun. I probably should at this point mention that this is for entertainment purposes only, and we're going to use other people's EVPs for educational reasons.
Fair use.
Yep, fair use.
Yes. This is for critique and or educational purposes.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm gaining no monetary kickbacks for any of this. So, what do you guys think?
Mental trauma, but
I mean, I think this is good. And like you said, it's. I guess we're just jumping into our opening statements here. It's like sometimes we need a week where it's an easy topic, and not. It probably won't be easy because I know the way that we are. We're going to get into it a little bit.
Sure.
Because that's what we do, but it's something that, like I said before the show to Tim, that I didn't do any prep for the show. I didn't. I was busy with doing other projects, and I did nothing. But I don't feel so totally bad because I am familiar with EVPs and what people do to get them and how they're interpreted. So I'm confident enough in my knowledge that I can contribute to the conversation without having to do too much extra. I did bring up one thing though. And it'll come up later. We'll get into that later. So I did do some homework. But I think EVPs it's a good thing to look at because so many people treat these as like this is the number one form of evidence for ghosts. And it just boggles my freaking mind because it's like one of the most uncontrolled things that they capture or gather, and it's like there's so many things that can go wrong, so many, but they don't. Not only do they not control for it, but they don't think about it, and that's the part that bothers me is that there is so little thought that usually goes into this because that this is what we learned on TV. Therefore, we can do the same thing. Therefore, we're professionals.
Well, there was no shortage of the world's greatest EVPs when I Googled them.
I'm sure
there was no shortage of EVPs that prove the afterlife. I even found in some circumstances that some EVPs were 1 in a billion chance of being anything but accurate and true proof of the afterlife.
Okay.
Now, video and photos, not so much. But I'm like you, like for some reason, EVP really has a cultural, maybe, or the hobby hold on leaning itself towards evidence or maybe data that would back the claim that there's a ghost in an afterlife.
Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, so back to EVP. Here we are again, listening to some more fun EVPs. It was good the first time we did it. I'm glad Tim brought the topic back again. I agree with Kenny and Tim with some of their opening comments. Take it a little further, though. There are ways you could control and do better. If you really wanted to show what these, collect some good data, analyze it, and kind of see what you could make of it. Jen already made the comment. I was going to say this: earmark sounds when you're there. Control the environment. Be aware of the sounds that are going on around you, what other people are doing, saying. Be strict about how you record, what your procedure is, what your methods are. You ask a question, you wait for so long. You don't ask the same question 20 times in a row. And then when you get one supposed response, well, that means something. Well, no, because 19 other times it didn't respond to you. The ghosts probably aren't deaf. They can hear you if they're there. You don't have to repeat yourself. It's not like talking slow and loud and repeating yourself to somebody who doesn't speak your particular language. So the ones I pulled, I didn't really go on the internet and pull a whole bunch of world's famous best. I went back to the ones that when Jen and I had a active group of people in our paranormal group, pulled 6 of them. And these were the 6, at the time, 6 best ones over all the years. And the best being that we felt we more or less controlled the environment. They would only show up on one recorder, not on another one that's right next to it. So it made it a little more interesting. But, I messaged Kenny and Tim when I was doing that. I'm like, I still re-listen to these and I'm like, what the fuck are they saying? Because nobody at the time, except maybe for one of them I might play, and I'm hoping the volumes are okay on these, but only one of them could people really come to a consensus of what was being said. And that's without telling them what you heard as the person who was reviewing it. So the investigator reviewing it didn't come in and said, hey, I heard this. What do you hear? No, we wouldn't do that. We'd just play it for everybody. They could write down what they thought, and then we'd go through and discuss it. But boy, I tell you, nobody really came to consensus on the other 5. It's almost impossible to get a consensus. And I thought those were pretty clear. But again, I sit here and go, I hear something, but I don't know what the fuck they're saying. So anyway, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those things where crap in, crap out. People are sloppy with the methods. The worst thing you can do is carry a little digital recorder around and walk with it and ask questions, because there's all kinds of noise there. But yeah, there would be ways to do this better. But anyway, that's not what we're going to do tonight. We're not going to try to improve it. We're just going to listen and have some fun. But I'm sure we'll get our smart-ass comments in there.
Yeah, we will. It wouldn't be the same if we didn't.
No, it wouldn't be.
You're on mute.
I'm a bitch. That was pretty cool. Like, I was talking and a little message popped up on the top saying your mic is muted. Like, oh, that's nice. Thank you, StreamYard. Thanks for telling me I'm a dumbass. But I wanted to clarify. Yeah, I totally agree, Dave. Like, there are ways to control for it. But I think the problem is that most groups don't. They just don't. They totally ignore the idea. I think some of them ignore the idea, and I think some of them are just completely ignorant of the idea. As in, ignorant, not being a dick, but ignorant as in like have no idea that you're supposed to do this. When we tightened things up and controlled things better, and then ran multiple recorders, and then
higher quality recorders, so you could go back and go, okay, I heard it on this one, but what does the other recorder say that's a high quality? It was a lot of background noise. So we were able to start throwing out a lot of potential EVPs. And I got to say, after we started doing that, I think our number of supposed EVPs went down by 95, 99%.
Wow.
And it became really rare to get something that we would listen to and go, it's interesting. Don't know what it is, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's issues with interpretation too, because it's so, and again, we can get into this after you play some EVPs for everybody so they can join in. But
yep,
I mean, I wanted to comment on with Dave what you said about the worst thing you can do is hold the recorder, and I totally agree with that, because these small recorders, even your phones, the microphone is built into the case. It's right up against the case, so any kind of movement on your part, just doing this, is causing friction, and you're going to pick that up. When you put it down on the table and you start walking around, you're causing vibrations through the floor that will transfer to the table, that will transfer to the recording device. And I always try to encourage people to use like shock mounts, like we use on like microphones, to help absorb some of that, because it's really important. Like I keep banging the table, I keep moving around and doing stuff, but I'm pretty sure you don't hear most of the bangs that go on. And that's because the springs in this absorb that vibration and doesn't let it get to the microphone. So it's really important, and something that I preach all the time to ghost hunting teams. Like if you're going to do EVPs, you got to take precautions. You can't just throw your fucking recorder on a table, and especially if you walk away. I hate when you fucking walk away. Don't walk away. I get it, but now you have no control over the environment. You have no idea what's going on. So many problems. Again, this is not what this episode is about, and I'm getting fired up already.
I know. I can watch you getting fired.
Fuck! I'm gonna stop talking.
Oh, hold on. Got a question from JD. I don't know anything about audio or how sound frequency works, but if ghosts could be recorded through EVP with little effort, does it also make sense to scan radio frequencies with a ghost box?
Let me, but a ghost could be recorded through EVP. Does it also?
It depends on the mechanism you're hypothesizing that the EVPs get on the recording.
Right. Because the ghost box is a radio. That's all it is. The only difference is that it scans through the available frequencies without muting the audio. And usually you have that scan function where you hit scan, or you like hold a long press on the scan button, and it'll go to each station, but that comes in clearly, and it'll give you like 5 seconds of that station before it goes to the next one. Or if you just short press, it'll just go to the next station that comes in clearly, and it skips over all the static. With ghost boxes, they designed it so that you hear everything and it keeps going. So you're already getting frequencies in from radio stations that are actively broadcasting. I agree, Stacy. Whereas when you're using a recorder, it should be shielded against radio frequencies. The cheaper ones, I don't think are, and you might be able to still get some kind of bleed through, but it's picking up on anything that comes through the microphone. So any vibrations that are pick up, and vibrations are not meant metaphysically, so don't go crazy with that idea. But it's vibrations through the air and through the medium, through the air, through the physical medium, whatever. It comes through and transfers into sound. So I think it's two different styles. It's two different styles. So I don't think it's the same. We can't apply the same explanations to both, I think, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made one of the shack hacks to fuck around with, play with. Never really used it on an investigation ever. We investigated a place in Gettysburg with somebody one time. They had a ghost box, shack hack, whatever it was. And it's interesting to watch them use that, because when we were up on the upper floors of this place, they were getting all kinds of communication, supposedly. But when you went in the basement, it all stopped. And my interpretation was, well, that's because the radio frequencies aren't able to get down into the basement, so you're not really hearing anything with the crappy little radio on that antenna. Right. Their interpretation was the ghosts are quiet down here.
Yeah.
So another, 2 hours of that, and I'm like, okay. It's just, to me, there's, I don't know, people do a lot of work with it and they play with it a lot, but I'm just doubtful. Anytime you add more noise or chaos into the system you're trying to control and record, it just makes it harder to interpret the data. And, way back when they had reel-to-reel recorders, they were supposedly capturing EVPs. So why do we need to scan radio frequencies? Why don't you just keep repeating with the reel-to-reel or the cassette recorders or even digital recorders? Because some people will hypothesize that it's a magnetics thing. Maybe they're affecting the magnetic head that's being recorded on the tape, or maybe they're affecting the AD converters in the digital recorder, and that's how it's getting on there. So there's plenty of things to play around with there without adding more crap and noise into the system with something that scans the radio. I mean, even white noise to me makes more sense than scanning frequencies, because at least you have a wide range of all the frequencies that if it's going to manipulate them, they're all there in the white noise.
Right.
If I'm a ghost and I'm sitting here going, okay, let's pretend I'm a dude guy. I'm sitting here going, they want me to talk to them through this radio. How am I going to do that? Am I going to do I make it so you hear something because of the background noise, or am I actually, I can't make the radio stop on any certain language or frequency because it's just scanning at a certain rate. So I guess I sit here and think, how would it work if they were actually doing it?
Yeah. And I mean, I throw in, we're totally delaying the actual topic.
But, we haven't heard one fucking EVP.
When we talk about ghost boxes, we get into the idea of predicting predictions, because the alleged ghost would have to predict a lot. One, it would have to predict what's going to play on the radio stations, and it would have to predict the frequency rate or the scanning rate of the radio that you're playing in order to time the words that are coming through perfectly to the question that you're asking. And again, if we go back to Dave, you mentioned it, I think, where if you ask a question 10 fucking times, eventually you're going to get an answer that suits what you're looking for, because now you figure over, and we've seen this, we've all seen this. If you ask a question 5 or 6 times, you're approaching about a minute or minute and a half of time that thing has been sweeping through all these frequencies. You're going to get some kind of sound that kind of sounds like what you're asking. So predictability is a problem, because now not only are ghosts, do they exist, but they're invisible. They can go through walls. They can be there without you detecting them, and now they can predict the future of various things in order to get it lined up. That's so. I mean, I want to be a ghost right now because they can do so much shit.
Well, it's like it's built in. It's almost like the argument has a built-in eraser for whatever you come at it with. We don't know what ghosts can do, and when you're in the other world, maybe time, you can manipulate time, you can time travel, you can anything that you could question. There's just it's so flexible. There's no boundaries to it, and I agree with you. Every time you try to talk about it, well, not with everybody, but so a lot of people, when you talk about it, it's well, you don't know what they can do. You don't know. Maybe this is what they're doing. I'm like, maybe it's not. So what do we do? How do we test it?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but neither do you. Yep. That's the response.
What was that quote JD shared that I loved it? It was not knowing what something isn't evidence for you knowing what it is.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson that put that up. Yeah, exactly.
Here, but I'll get this one before we get going. So if Ghost can passively record through EVP, you shouldn't need to scan through the radio frequencies, right? I think that's where we got.
Yeah.
And so
if you can record them through the use of a microphone and just the device itself, then you should, hypothetically, I'm throwing it out there, you should use a karaoke machine and be able to talk to them in real time.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I same thing. Like talking about it, sometimes I wonder, well, how come we just don't hear messages on the TV while we're watching TV? I mean, why do you got to turn off the lights
Speakers.
and get a, why not just turn on the TV and say, yo, man, while I'm watching Game of Thrones, give me some commentary on what you think about it. And you should be able to.
That would be so awesome. Like your TV's talking to you. That's pretty cool. All right. So I'll start it with just because leading in on one of Dave's comments about interpretation of what you hear in an EVP. So interestingly enough, I picked this one just because of the length of the information that was coming through whatever Ghost app it was. There is only a small section of this that is considered an EVP. So I'm going to play it. And what I hope is for everybody to listen to it and see if you can pick out of all the information that's coming across what the listener picked out as the EVP amongst all this information. All right. Are we playing a game here? Dave, you got I got a notebook. I'm ready.
Got a notebook.
I'm ready to go.
I do have a notebook. Nice.
Got my 1950s style glasses. Can you play that again? Because I think I was talking over it.
Yeah, no problem. Uh-oh. Hold on.
You broke it.
So what I'm going to do, because this kind of gave me a little bit, I'm going to, if it's okay, Kenny, to remove yours.
Yes.
Or can you remove yours? Because this happened to me when I was in training.
There we
if
go.
I got too many in the background.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it would die on me. So let me try it again. I don't know why it's done there.
Is this a ghost box?
It is from a ghost app.
Okay.
Oh.
Because I was like, I'm hearing like the different switching between different stations kind of thing, and I couldn't catch any of that.
Okay, well I'll try the one I put. I made one with the actual. I put in what the listener would interpreted the EVP to be. And so I'll just ask if you guys think you heard anything in that short little clip, just put it down. And here is the original, or actually the same clip, but with the, I put in overlay of what the original listener heard in it. I got a little further.
Oh, is the clip like stopping ahead of time?
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why. There, it went all the way through. All right.
Wow. So it was supposed to say "I love him" when that popped up on screen?
Yeah. So, but the interesting, on top of I love him, and you can probably hear it now with that, on top of everything, it was this, so many seconds of information. You can hear like a lot of other stuff for me. You can hear a lot of other stuff going on, but it's only at the end of the clip that the original listener heard I love him and made a connection in the video to why. So I don't want to play the video, but for what, 8 or 9 seconds before the original, it's just all this information, and it wonders to me, like, how come all those noises and words and like, how come that's not considered an EVP, but when you hear something that might be that you might be able to hear relative to what they want to hear, does it all of a sudden become EVP? So I'll try it again.
Wow. So I think, because this comes in at the end, right?
Yeah. Right when the letters come up.
All right. So I wasn't looking at the screen, but I think at the time when it was supposed to come in, to say I love him, right? I
love him. Mm-hmm.
It almost sounded to me like somebody saying, well, then, like almost in the middle of the conversation where it was like, well, we did this and then we did this. And you caught that little snippet of like, well, then, or something like that. But I didn't hear I love him. And that's just me. That's my interpretation.
Yeah. So this is from an ITC device.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to hear it again?
Yeah.
One more time? Which I think might explain all the dismissal of the first 5 or 8 seconds of the information. So the first part of the clip isn't other people talking. This person's by themselves. It's the app scanning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the app scanning, and that's what confused me as to. We've talked about it before, probably on the other EVP, is getting flooded with information in your brain. At some point, your brain will try to make sense of something inside that information.
Right.
So, one, why are you dismissing everything before it as not being voices, but when something that you feel is relative to what you would like to hear becomes relevant?
It's going in. It's basically, I would think, and this is just me like freewheeling in here, but it's going in not only with a bias, but you're going in with an idea of what you want to hear. You're already conditioned to hear something in relation to the question. So if the person asked a question, they're listening for an answer specific to that question. But I think on the other side, as you mentioned, like why is that one part considered an EVP and not the other parts that obviously have words in it or bits of words? And I think that's because it's there's so much information coming at them.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to listen to everything, and you begin to pick out something that's more familiar or just pops out. I think it's when you're throwing a whole bunch of stimuli and you only pick out like one word. It's being in a crowd of people, and lots of people are talking, but one word kind of sticks out to you, and you zero in on that word, and you listen to that one voice, and you can hear something of what they're saying. So I think that in this case, it's kind of like that. It's they're not listening to everything coming through this device. They don't hear everything coming through this device. They only hear bits and pieces because there's just too much. It's overstimulus.
Yeah, and I think
I kind of like that. I'm sorry.
Where were they? And
They
what was
were
the story,
in
and
this
what were they
person's house.
listening to? And was there something that would, in the context of the conversation, the context of the situation, would make them want to hear something like that, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff going on there that I don't know. Without knowing the history and stuff, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's probably a reason why they picked up on cued in on that, as opposed to all the other stuff.
There is, and again, that brings me back to like why I found that interesting. So, again, to be clear, that's like it's like a ghost box. It's an app. There's no one else there but this person that's working it. There's a lot of information coming through, and it was kind of a long clip. And I cut even the clip. I cut short so it wouldn't be so long. But listening without the words, I'm kind of like this. I thought Bob and I had the same thought. You know, I hear nonsensical
words.
Exactly.
I hear nonsensical information until the words pop up on the screen that trains your brain, that primes your brain to hear what you want to hear. So that's why I wanted to do that whole clip without anything to see if anybody heard anything, which, judging by the confusion in the chat room, nobody heard anything until I put up the words that they did hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think JD answered that. It's
absolutely.
priming, and we've covered this before. Like it's when you have this nonsensical stimuli, it's stuff out there. We look for patterns. That's what we do. We look for patterns.
Definitely.
And we're trying to look for something. And if you get that hint, if somebody tells you, "Oh, listen to this," that's what you're listening for. And 9 times out of 10, yes, even if it doesn't actually say that word, that's what you're going to hear. Unless you're somebody like me, and I'm like, nope, don't hear it at all.
Still don't hear it. I still didn't hear it even when you put it up.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to start listening or start hearing it when I was watching the original clip as well. I just didn't hear it either.
Right.
All right.
Okay. We don't know what we're listening to, and we just try to associate it. We're trying to make sense of it.
Yep.
And that's what happens. It's natural. It's a natural reaction to try to make sense of something, and even if you don't make sense.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to do another one? You want me to do another one?
Well, the only one I have is more going into like interpretation. So you guys have fun and throw out what you have here.
Okay. Send me one, Dave, or you want me to do it?
All right, I'll go ahead and set it up. Let me get it set here. Video file. Now, this first one, I'm not going to say where it was, but it's part of a video. So the audio was recorded on the video camera. And you're also going to hear a tri-field meter go off as well. So there you go. Play it again. I swear you need headphones for some of these. All right, is everybody getting headphones?
I'm putting my headphones on.
Yep. I gotta plug mine in. Hold on.
Hit me one more time.
Hold on, I gotta plug mine in. So
Everybody's going to put their headphones on now.
All right.
Shut up, JD.
Yeah, the audio, for some reason, mine, when it's playing on here, the volume is not near what the file is that I have, so I have no idea why it's so low. Let me see. That's cranked up. All right, try it again. All right. All right, I'm gonna have to post these because for some reason the audio is not working on these. It's working, but it's really light.
Mhm.
I have no idea why.
I mean,
So
it's
let me try another one.
I would venture a guess that's probably a female. Like it sounded like a female voice to me,
Okay.
but just in the distance, like they weren't next to the recorder. They were maybe in another room or something, and it was just picking it up.
I have a human behavior question.
Mm-hmm.
Why does everybody lean forward when they want to hear something?
Because it gets me closer to the speakers before I have my headphones in. And
Because I'm hunched down.
And sometimes I do it to look away from the screen and kind of close my eyes so I focus more on what I'm hearing.
I do it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so the story of this, which I'm sorry about the audio. I have no idea why it's so effed up. This was recorded by Jen when she was at Manteno State Mental Hospital. It had been abandoned for probably 20 years or so at the time with no electricity. And if you get a good audio file of it, which I have, but it's not coming through, it sounds like a PA system clicks on, and it sounds to us like it's a nurse paging a doctor. But you can't tell who the doctor is. It sounds like a PA system clicked on.
Wow, I would really love to hear that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I will post better audio links when we're done with the show because I have a bad feeling there's something wrong with what I'm doing with the audio here. Anyway, let me try one more and then we'll move over to somebody else.
It's a flexible, fun night.
All right, let's see if I can find one that's a little louder. This one might be good. Let's see.
Watch this one be like super loud, and we'll like
Probably.
Yeah. So disclaimer: like we don't take responsibility for anybody that gets hurt during these.
All right, ready?
Yep. Well, I hear that one much better.
Yeah.
What do you think? Any guesses?
Play it again. I have an idea, but now I can't get it out of my head, so I keep hearing it. So. Yeah.
Well, we got.
Doctor calling Doctor.
Hold on.
What? Nothing. No different to
All right, here we go. Bob and Carol, Donna, those are I'm.
That was a good one, Bob. Yeah, I got that.
So JD and I kind of heard the same.
Okay, so a couple people, it looks like, in the chat room got it.
I hear, like almost nothing. Yeah, like I hear it more now because I looked over at the comments and I saw people saying nothing. But I didn't actually hear nothing at first. I heard more like doving or dove it or something like that, but it didn't sound English to me. But now that I'm looking over and I see nothing, in quotes, I'm like, fuck, that's all I hear.
See, that's what happened to me. And then I saw JD and I was like, damn it, it's over.
So that was one of the few that we never recorded that we all could somewhat agree on it, and nothing was what we heard. And I didn't play the questions, but from the investigators beforehand, because to me that would give you a little bit of context of maybe what to listen for.
Right.
And they're at a private residence in Beloit, Wisconsin, recording, asking questions end of the night. And the question was, it was somewhere along the lines of, what do you want us to do? And that's the response that they got. They didn't hear it at the time, but came on the recording. So anyway, that's 2 to begin with. I have a couple others, but I'm worried that the audio is going to be not good on those as well.
Let me get one up here. Do this one and try to stop it. Okay. I think maybe what I'll do is let it load. Maybe that's what's going wrong with it. So we'll talk for just a little bit. Yeah, at first I heard something like calling or Connie, and I couldn't place it. And then I saw the calling Dr. Love, and the calling stuck in my head. So anyway, so this one, it's definitely ITC. It's definitely a shack hack. But I picked this one. Hopefully this is the right one. I'm going to check my notes. I'm going to play this one again all the way through with no subtitles to see if you guys pick up anything at all. And then I'm going to, this time after this, I'm going to play it 2 more times. One with the original script or the original subtitles, and then another one with subtitles that I happen to hear as well, or something that sounded familiar, and see if you guys can pick out which one it is. So let's hope this one goes all the way through.
Are you still there, man?
So yeah. See how different it is, though? This is great. This is why I love it. So apparently there's 3 spots in this, or allegedly there's 3 spots in this that a spirit very specifically comes through to talk and give an intelligent answer to the person that's asking.
Okay.
So do you want to hear it again and see?
Yeah.
Are you still there, man?
See, I heard, now I heard, are you still there?
That was the guy.
It sounded like a guy, not the radio.
Yeah, that was the guy asking if you're still here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard him.
Yeah.
But for the, like, I heard what it sounded like, the same thing, but I also heard it cycling through the stations. So I'm wondering, like, oh, did it come back to the same thing? But all I heard was like Z. I heard Z. That's it. Like ZEE.
Pretty
All
good.
I hear is I'm like, I have no
I hate
idea.
that sound.
Yeah, I hate that sound. All right, let me
All right.
let me get one up here. So this one is either, this one may or may not be the original with the subtitles that they deemed that they heard. I'm going to give it just a minute to load up. It seems like maybe that was a problem earlier.
Okay.
Kenny, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. We'll see.
Oh.
So
Are you still there, man?
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
you want to do it again and see if you get those words now? Again?
So yeah, I do hear like reading it. I do hear it,
Yeah.
and this is going to be great. I can't wait to play my clip later.
Yeah, I'll do this one more time to see if anybody so that they can hear it again.
Yeah.
Are you still there, man?
Sound
See,
better?
That was fun because I don't hear the word can't. I hear like C, but it's more Z to me. I hear more of the z of the Z, and the listen. If I was the given answer, I would say it sounded more like glisten,
Glisten.
like a drawn out glisten, not listen.
So
But go ahead.
this may or may not be the original script too. So I'm not going to let you. There's another one that I dubbed another or did not. So one of these two are going to be the original, and so that's one interpretation of it. And I'll play another one. You ready?
I do suggest if people watching haven't done so already, put your headphones in.
Yeah.
All right, let me get rid of this. This one, I think. So here it is again with maybe the original. Try to give it a second to load. Don't hear can't. Carol heard Godzilla. I like the way JD thinks. All right, so here's another one. See if this makes sense.
Are you still there, man?
Of course, I hear what you have on the screen there.
So this time, wow, this is weird talking with headphones on. I'm not used to doing this. This time, when it said listen, I actually heard here I sit. And I think it's because I listened to the question and was ready for an answer to the question. And listen doesn't fit what he asks. So yeah, dude, play it again and everybody listen for here I sit.
Okay.
See if you hear it.
Are you still there, man?
Yeah. So whatever the last thing I read or you tell me, that's what I'm hearing. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
very, very easily influenced, I guess.
That's awesome. Wow.
That's cool.
All right, so which do you think's the original script? Go to sleep at sea and Bryson, or can't see, listen?
I think the first one. Can't see, listen.
I'll go with the second one just to even it out. I just want to go against Dave. That's all.
That's fine.
Oh, Dave and Donna picked it out.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Mhm.
Wow.
That was cool.
So the situation for this was at a graveyard at night, and the person that was asking the question was asking them to read the name on a tombstone.
Okay.
And so apparently when they were filming and went back, they heard can't see because they were going, what's the name? What's the name? And the answers were can't see. But I really liked Bryson at the end. I never heard until you said What'd you think you heard there at the end? Sit down or
Here I sit.
here I sit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was the first one.
Interesting.
All right.
Cool.
Well, let's see if I got another one we can try.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Hit the wrong one.
All right, let's try this one. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to hear again. Ready?
Hold on. Plug it in. I feel like I'm in the Matrix. All right.
Okay. What do you think it says, Kenny? Because you're laughing. You may have gotten it.
No, it doesn't sound like anything to me,
Okay.
except like a little, like I picture like a little sci-fi creature going.
Yeah, again, the audio on this is so low. I don't know why, but that one was recorded in Mansfield Reformatory by a group of women that were down in solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
So what most people think it says is "you're a slut." So now let's play it again and see if you hear that.
The important question is, are they?
With
make
that
sure.
group, I'm pretty sure they weren't.
Okay.
They're good, nice people. All right, so here you go. See if you hear it now.
Oh, yes.
That's funny.
That's great.
I have to say, at first, I thought it sounded like a kid chewing, like maybe Captain Crunch cereal with their mouth closed. And as soon as you said that, I heard it right away.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
Yeah, I think honestly, when I first heard it, it sounded like this was regular, like someone holding a recorder.
no, it was. Yeah, it wasn't. They were it was down in the middle of the floor.
Okay. But yeah, that's what I got from it the first time, and then
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything like what you said until you said it.
Yep.
Then
Yeah.
I applied that to the noise, and I could hear that. So
How about that, huh?
Yeah. Immediately after that, I heard it.
Yeah.
All right. Do we
So
want to
JD's got a question?
play another one?
Oh, can you track what stations a ghost box scans? Would it be possible to have someone in another room listen on a radio when a ghost box gets a hit to compare whether it's just picking up something from a specific station?
So I'll jump in first. I have thought about this, and an experiment that I would love to run, which would be difficult, is to go to an area, establish what stations come in clearly, and that would have to be determined too, like what is meant by clearly, because you can have partially clearly, which would still generate words, but you would have to have recording devices for every station that would come in partially clearly or somewhat clearly, all the way up to crystal clear during the time frame that you rent a ghost box, because a ghost box is essentially just it's not like frequencies that aren't known to radios. It scans AM FM, so we know what frequencies it goes through. We can actually track it. You get the specs, you know what range you have, so you'd have to have enough devices to record all of those stations and then compare it timestamp wise to your ghost box session, and that would tell you, okay, does this match up? The problem is, like, I've never run it because you need like 30, 40 at least different recorders, 30, 40 different radios to receive each signal and then going through the work. That's a lot of work, especially for one person. So I've never actually run it, but yeah, it can be done.
It can be done, but yeah, it'd be a ton of work. All that state time stamping and frequencies and stations, and then trying to figure out what was actually going on. And then if you weren't sure of what you heard from what station, you almost have to get the backup or the show recordings from the station to compare it against. And boy, that would be a hell of a project. It'd be pretty cool, but yeah. But, yeah, it's fun.
Easiest way would be just to put the recorder in a Faraday box, like a good, well-built one, not the shit bags that you find online.
Chicken wire.
Yeah, you need really good. Like I'm trying to set up an experiment for next weekend with someone that had a similar claim to what we're talking about here, but unfortunately it fell through. I'll talk to you guys afterwards.
I think I saw some of that at one point.
But I have a Faraday box that I built and that I tested the shit out of to make sure that it blocked not only FM but AM signals, because AM is much harder to block. And it does. So I would suggest that, like, put it in a Faraday box and you still get your messages. If you don't, then you're not getting ghosts. You're getting radio frequencies.
Yep.
So I don't know enough about it, but do you know if Ghost Box can be programmed to land only on certain stations, frequencies?
As far as I know, you can't. You can change the rate of scanning, like how fast it goes through the stations, but you can't.
I remember that.
You can't limit the stations that it covers.
Yeah, I think it's just whatever signals out there that it can grab. It goes through all. It must just zip through all of them. It's just like taking, if you have the old radios with the dial on them, it's just like taking your finger and scrolling on the dial and just keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. So you would imagine there could be a way to do that, though. It'd be pretty easy to do with a digital radio with some programming. You should be able to get it to do that.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, you got more, Tim?
Yeah, I'll see if you want to do yours, Kenny. You want me to do one more?
Why don't you do yours first, and then we can close out with a discussion more about mine.
Okay.
Mine is not an actual EVP. But...
Let's see which one I want to do.
Let's see. Flip a coin.
Oh, statistics. All right. Let's see what this one is. So again, this is another ghost app, and this was labeled as like one of the determining factors that ghosts do exist, and there's life after death. So,
oh my God!
See what you hear in this. This is a phrase.
Play that again.
I get so cracked up over this.
All I hear is ghosts.
I hear like radio.
Ghosts.
Okay.
Bad country music in the background.
Is this a bag of Bobby Mackey's?
All right, let me get. You heard the original with no words. Let's just randomly. I really can't remember which is which, so let's see which one this is. We'll let it load for a minute. Donna heard Until He Goes. Carol, reminds me of the old opening for your show. Well, yeah, that's lovely. That one's not playing at all.
Bob here's Kill the Fajitas.
Let me try again. All right,
What?
so let me try this one again.
What the hell?
Oh, wow. Can you guys hear it and it's just not me?
No.
It cuts off.
Oh, this is fantastic right there. Kill the fajitas.
I'm not.
It's yeah. It's, no, I hear it.
I hit kill the.
You're killing the
Oh,
fajitas
man.
now. That's great.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Let me get the other one.
Oh, jeez.
I should have put, that would have been a good word.
Wow. I love how this is.
That one I heard better. I hear the last three words that are pretty good with the stuff on the screen when I read it.
I
Oh, sorry.
like I keep hearing just two words: kill radius.
Kill the fajitas. I love that.
That's great.
Okay, so which do you think was the real one? Kill the fajitas or torpedoes? Or get out and talk to us?
Personal preference. I'm just going with the fajitas because now I'm hungry.
It was get out and talk to us.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't hear that at all.
I didn't hear anything at the beginning, and then when you start priming,
Right.
it's funny that they said fajitas because I kept hearing torpedoes.
Yeah.
So I was like, how the hell am I going to make an EVP out of torpedoes?
Fajitas, torpedoes.
So like I was like, I tried fitting in sink the ship with torpedoes, and I was like, that doesn't work. So
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that this has been a fun show because it's just like trying to hear, and we've done this. I'm sure you guys have done this. I've done this 100 times, 1,000 times maybe. Where sitting here, yes, I'm hunched over because that's what everyone does. We hunch over, we listen intently, we close our eyes because we're trying to cut off everything except sound coming in because we want to hear that.
Yep.
And without context, we're trying, like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
What's the question? Oh, it means this. Or we hear something, and once we hear something,
then
we start applying, our logic or our bias, our basic filters. When we apply our own filters, we hear something, and boom, it's right there.
Yep.
We hear it all the time.
Yep.
And that's it.
it's hard to unhear it once you do.
Yeah. Unless you put some new words up, then I hear that.
Yeah.
It's really funny how that is because you would think after you told me what the first phrase was that you put up, you'd kind of stick with that. But no, as soon as I saw the words for the new one, it's like, okay, now I hear that. So that just shows you how totally subjective it is and how you can be influenced. And I think Jen posted it, by priming.
Yeah.
You tell somebody what you hear and you're totally primed. And that's what you hear. And it doesn't matter if you hear the exact same audio clip. If you put other words on the screen, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And I remembered when I was doing this, from our last show, us discussing like just having the clip with nothing.
Right.
So that's why I put one up with absolutely nothing. Just this is the clip. This is the information that they say they get it from. So can we get the same thing? And, I didn't. I did like you. When I was listening to them, I'd hit play and I would, cover my ear, look down and try not to look at the screen until I just I had, Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, Bob. You can get cereal and fajitas.
Damn. There you go.
Crunching Taco Bell. I'm ready for the cash to start rolling in.
Yeah.
Anytime now.
Sponsors.
I mean, those are not bad sponsors.
That was fun.
So, all right. So now I guess I want to jump into the clip that I have.
Okay.
Don't bring it up yet.
Okay.
I just want to explain it real quick. Is that what we were talking about? And actually, we just segued right into it.
Perfect.
This is a clip I've seen dozens of times. I've seen different people do it, and this is not what we're going to play. Is not the original one. It's just the first one that came up. But it demonstrates how one sound can be interpreted different ways, not by just different people, but by the same person, depending on what you're reading. And when you're reading it, this is the priming that comes up on screen. This is what you see in ghost hunting shows when they put the words up on screen. They're telling you what to listen for before you listen to it.
Yeah.
And you're reading as you're listening, so boom, you hear it. And I'm going to play this clip a couple times, and I want you to look at both things that pop up, and you'll get it. And some of you have probably seen it already, but you'll get it once it starts playing. So, all right, go ahead and share it. All right. So, as you can see, this is it. You will only hear what the word that you're reading. So here we go.
This is too much.
So, I mean, that's it. And
that is awesome.
I want to do an experiment now with you guys because that played 4 times, and I'm sure you had a chance. It's the same video. Same video played 4 times, and you could hear different things depending on what you look at. Now, I want you to do, everyone watching, do me a favor, get a piece of paper, whatever, write down Green Storm and Brain Needle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a couple minutes. I can certainly talk, but give you a minute to write it down. Make sure you have it down. And when I play this clip again, don't look at the screen. Look at the words that you just wrote down. So Green Storm should be together and Brain Needle should be together.
Okay.
And this is a really cool trick. It's really cool. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
That's great.
So, did it work for you?
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is fantastic. This is an amazing, amazing thing where it's like, holy shit, you know, and it shows you how much you can change your perception of something by just what you're reading.
Yep.
And I'll play it. I want to play it a couple more times.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll play it out until it stops. And you can do any combination of these
You
words.
close your eyes and think of the word, and the word you'll hear the word.
Yeah.
I'm mixing.
It's fun. I mean, I think this is a really cool experiment because you can see, like, you can do different combinations, and when I'm looking at different parts of the word, I hear it. And now I can't unhear it because I already know the choices. And not just the 2 choices, I know the 4 choices by mixing the words up. So I hear something. I always hear one of the words. no matter what. So it's really, really cool.
Interesting.
So what do you guys think?
That was cool. I like it.
With that one you just played, I don't know if anybody else hears it, but it sounds like the pitch and the tone of the voice changes as well. So Green Needle sounds high and Brainstorm sounds low and gruff. Which I don't know if that's part of it, but that happens with me. And then when I was just closing my eyes and listening, I tried to say, instead of needle, I tried to use norm and breen instead of like a brain and green. I tried to think breen, but it wouldn't come out breen. It came out with the beginning of each word that I started. So breen still came out brain, and norm still came out needle.
So this is, I mean, it's interesting. It goes back to perception and what you're expecting to see or hear in this case. Like the dress, the famous dress. People were divided on the color, like blue or gold, or I forget the exact colors, but people were divided on what they saw. This sound is actually from a toy, from a Ben 10 toy that said brainstorm. That was the word that was recorded on it. But because the way it was recorded, if you're not ready for it, if you're not listening specifically for that, it came out differently. So people got confused.
Interesting.
And it looks like it came out in 2018 is the first time it actually hit the internet. And somebody took a video of a toy, of the Ben 10 toy, and played it, and people were like, became a big internet argument on what it was saying. But I mean, this ties in directly to what we're talking about, in that if you're listening to something with no context, it's hard to hear what's going on. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. That's why when we do tests, when we get multiple people to listen to alleged EVPs, we can't get a consensus. And you're not going to, unless you put context in there, which is either the question. Then you can narrow that. I mean, you're still going to have a wide range of responses, but you narrow it down a little bit because people are expecting to hear something in relation to the question. But then when you go a step further and put the words up on screen, you take any kind of independent thought away, and you just say, this is what it says, and you read it, and you, oh, that's what I hear. Yes. Okay, great. So that's my 2 cents. That's my homework.
That was a good one. That was really good.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, that was fun. It just
let me skip through here to make sure I'm not missing any questions.
Relax, Dave.
I don't think I see.
I don't have a question. I'm okay.
Oh man, I think they're all.
Okay.
Questions that were just comments. People were just.
That's fun. I enjoy that. I wonder if we could do something like we did do something like that with pictures. I wonder if we could do something like that with video too.
Probably.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
What I want to know is why every single ghost hunter doesn't always ask, "Where's the money?" and why are they? I have had this very same conversation. If I get to ask one question and it be answered, I want to know what the lottery numbers are.
Yeah.
And Bob, so does this brings up the question: how much free will do we really have?
It can be manipulated, that's for sure.
You agree to not listen to the EVP.
I do not take responsibility what's going to happen to you, Bob, but I would recommend looking in the realm of like physics with that question, because that gets really trippy really fast. Free will and physics and quantum physics. I know I can't go in. It's just, but try it. And from a physics and a quantum physics or or a quantum mechanical physics standpoint, free will is a trip. It will like, you will come out and not be the same person and speak a different language and shit. Like, it's just weird. But I would recommend, like, that is some really good reading on those two topics. What do you think would happen if you did a comparison between an EVP session and the control? And the control is you ask the question and then later review the audio without reference to the question that was asked. Take away all the priming.
Yeah, I think that's actually, we've talked about that before, I think. And the best way to do that is to have a group of different people listen to it independently and just listen to the answer without the context of the question.
Yeah.
Because that can lead you down hearing certain things.
Yeah. That's something that I did, the little study that I did with Mitch Silverstein, where we put out an alleged EVP. And we had control groups where one group didn't have the question, and then the other group did have the question. And when the results were compared, it was the group that did have a question was still kind of all over the place. And then the group without the question was a wider range all over the place. And it just shows that, like, without context, there's usually there's no consensus.
Yeah, I can see. All right.
Cool.
Good.
That was good.
Well, that was fun. This was a nice, fun ending to a really shit week that was just too much. It was just really bad work days and lots of heavy pressure. So this was absolutely enjoyable. Had a lot of fun doing, like, looking for him and talking shit about one specific person that preys upon, yeah, and sells. Yeah. It's really gruff the way he does it, and the way he bluffs people into buying shit pieces of equipment. It's really just, the equipment's just full of fluff. It's really stupid stuff. I'm just thinking of these words right off the cuff.
I feel there's a message, or something you're trying to get across here.
I think there's a little message going on here.
Yeah.
I would call your bluff, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not a fan. He was one of the first people I was blocked from for just asking,
Yeah.
Anyway, it was still fun. It was still a lot of fun. Talking, yeah. So it says my final thoughts are on this is it is just as I hear the conversation and I hear the ideas when I talk to people that, EVP like seems to be like this grounding source for many people that are still in the paranormal hobby that gave up on photos and videos and Ouija boards and crystals, but for some reason this EVP keeps people grounded to this belief, and I think probably a lot of it has to do with like an off the cuff, just from talking this evening. I think a lot of it has to do with EVP really enables us to trick ourselves very easily into believing if we want to believe, just by filling in the gaps of information and making things fit into our own personal thoughts. And it's just it's like an open book, and you get this data that's kind of a lot of times nonsensical. Not always, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times is nonsensical, and you get to write the notebook out of the data and rearrange the words to what you want to hear and make sense. And I think we had a lot of fun doing that tonight.
Yep, definitely. Just shows how subjective it is and how you can definitely fall prey to priming. As soon as you say what it is or put a word on the screen, or even Kenny's example is an extreme example of it, you're going to hear what you want to hear or what you expect based on what somebody's told you or shown you. So if you're going to collect EVPs and present them as evidence, we've talked about in our other show, but it'd probably be best to go ahead and do it, set up a formal method, use a Faraday cage if you can. And then when you want people to try to figure out what it's saying, take the responses out, cut them out of the actual recording and send them to different people. Don't tell them what you think it is and have them tell you and see if they can come up with a consensus. At least that would be a step forward in trying to take a look at what's really going on here.
I totally agree. I think EVPs were just. I think ghost hunters first relied on pictures, especially when the digital cameras came into being, like with the Mavica when it first hit the scene, and it was a consumer brand. You know, everyone could get this and take as many pictures as you wanted. Everybody was on board. Then they had problems, photos in general, and then video came up, and video was like more affordable, and everybody could do it. And then infrared, night vision, holy shit, we can see.
Oh man, I remember that shit. Well, I remember buying like the $50 2-mile,
yes,
800 things of
infrared lights. Yeah,
couldn't wait.
That was perfect. And then these all have problems. There's problems, and there's known problems, and they've been pointed out for quite some time. And now it's kind of like falling back on, hey, we still have audio clips, and it's the old issue of burden of proof, where it's the ghost hunters are like, well, I got this, and it responds to my question. How do you prove that? How do you debunk that? And, you know, still not my fucking problem. It's yours.
Yeah.
But it still falls on people like us to look at it and scrutinize it. I think it's still a novelty, and that's how I view it. I view EVPs as a novelty. It's done in uncontrolled situations with equipment that varies. I mean, we have to consider the recording devices that vary. We have to we have to consider the listening devices that vary. I mean, speakers vary by design and quality. Headphones also vary by design and quality. The settings that you have on your computers or radios or whatever that you're listening on are not the same as everyone else's settings. So yeah, there's a lot of interpretation issues there. So I think it's very coincidental sometimes where noises pop up, especially if you ask a question 3 or 4 times and then finally you get an answer and you're like, oh good, they finally answered me.
Yeah.
There's no let's scrutinize this. Did it actually answer me, or did somebody make a noise, or somebody cough, or a stomach growl? Because we all know stomachs growl, all of them.
Yep.
We can be influenced by other people. You know, as soon as somebody thinks they hear something and they say it, they always say it out loud. And I think you guys touched on this. Like, don't fucking tell everyone else. Keep it confidential, because as soon as you say it out loud, everyone knows what you heard. Everyone's listening for that. Everyone hears that. And it's downhill from there. Usually, in my experience, usually the decision is already made then. Like, okay, oh, you heard that? Wait, play it again. Oh, I hear that. That's what it says. All right, good. Post it on our Facebook page or our website, because that's what it says.
Be sure to type what you hear too.
Yes. Make sure it's in there. So people
make sure it's in there, or it's fucked.
We're the professionals. We're telling you what to listen for. And then lastly, I agree. Dave, I think you brought it up. Bring a Faraday cage. Bring it. Put your recording devices in the Faraday cage. Make sure it actually works. Don't buy the Amazon bags, the real cheap ones, because they're shit. They don't work. Build a good one. Use it. And then if you get something that seems to talk to you, then it's interesting. Let's look at it further. But until you do that, you're opening yourself up to mistakes. I mean, basically, that's what it is. If you're using a ghost box, it's a radio. It's doing its job. It's not detecting ghosts. It's doing its job. Picking up
doing what it's doing. Yeah.
That's what it's designed to do. I don't care if you hit the scan button and let it do it itself, or you're old people like us and you turn the dial. Going back and forth. Does the same thing. But either way, put it in a Faraday cage and see what happens. I'm pretty confident you're not going to get anything. And if you do, I'll be impressed. And I'll come over and we'll chat. We'll have and we'll chat.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's my hyped up final thoughts.
I like Carol's final thoughts. Now I want to go eat Captain Crunch and some fajitas.
I want some fajitas.
Thanks.
I like that.
That's funny. All right.
All right.
That was fun.
Anything to add? You guys good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching the show. I had a good time. I really did. It was a lot of fun.
I did too.
And I needed a good laugh, so I appreciate that. And I will make this transition so much smoother than my last one.
Sure.
Sure.
There we go.
Because I know the order. And good night, everybody. And see you next week.
See you next time.